Are you looking to get into drifting? You've got an S197 Mustang or an SN95, and you want to add an angle kit to your car. Now let's say you decided to pick out the one that I've got behind me. This is a very affordable kit with quality parts from Synergy Race Development, but maybe the install just seems a little bit daunting. This video is going to be all about how to install it on the bench, because you need to pre-assemble everything. It doesn't come assembled. You're going to pre-assemble it on the bench and then install it on the car. So stay tuned. We're gonna flip the camera around. I'll show you what I bought. I'll show you what it looks like when you first get the kit, and then how to get it assembled. This is awesome. Like literally every single part comes double wrapped. This was wrapped in plastic. This had bubble wrap on top of it. Everything is double wrapped. It's not gonna be damaged. It comes quickly. I'm super excited. I can't wait to completely unbox this thing, lay it out on the table, and show you everything else that I got. This actually comes in a lot of different pieces, and if it's your first time doing something like this, you're gonna see all these different pieces and all the spacers and the orientation, and it might be a little bit scary about how everything goes together. So we'll do a quick time lapse. I'll cover a couple quick things about how to set it up, how to get yourself to this point, because that's kind of the first part of the instructions. The first thing you wanna do is to familiarize yourself with these two pictures. These come in the instructions and they show you kind of a diagram how everything goes together. The other big thing I will say when you lay it out on the floor is the packets go together as well. So like, for example, there's a packet of just tie rod ends. All that stuff just goes to tie rod. So don't take all of the packaging and undo it all at once. Do it one at a time and then refer back to the diagram and it will start to make sense. Just go slowly. That's my big tip. And don't worry, I will tell you how I got to this point, but I want to point out the fact that if your car has lowering springs like mine or stock springs and shocks, they have to go. So that part actually has to come off the car, and you need to purchase something like this. This is a coilover kit from BC Racing, but you will need to pick up something like this in order to install this angle kit on your vehicle. First things first, like most projects, go ahead and remove the wheels from the car. That's pretty self-explanatory. With those removed, you have access to the upper sway bar end links. Pop those out, and then from underneath the car, disassemble where the sway bar attaches to the body. Got the sway bar undone down there. It's a pretty heavy one, honestly. It's resting on the lower control arms. We'll go pop the other side off and then take this sway bar out. Now, if you want to reuse a sway bar, that's fine. You just need to get different end lengths for it, but that's going to come out. We'll go ahead and just throw the end link nuts back on there, and then I'll zip the other nuts back on as well, just so we don't lose them. So my car has a big brake package. Yours may not, but either way, the caliper needs to come off. In my case, and I've never done these before, there's two big Allen bolts here, and I think this whole caliper will just separate off. I sure hope so. Very important that you support the caliper somehow, because that thing is heavy, and you don't want it resting on this. So we've got it strapped in. Now I had a wheel spacer, you probably don't, so just pretend this isn't here. Go ahead, take your caliper, pull that bad boy off. She's heavy. Go ahead and repeat that on the other side of the car, the exact same steps. I do want to point out one thing. The reason I told you guys to remove the sway bar was because it causes binding with the angle kit. You can still run a sway bar, but you have to modify it and get different end links for it to work. So in my case, I just opted for stiffer springs, and I'm going to remove the sway bar altogether. Plus, it saves some weight. The next step is to remove the outer tie rod from the spindle. Now you're not reusing any of these parts, so go ahead, grab a hammer, break it loose. Next, the strut needs to come out of the car completely. Even if you have coilovers, you still need to disconnect the spindle because the spindle itself comes out of the car. But either way, undo the 2 bolts at the bottom and the 4 at the top, and it will all come loose. Like I said, the spindle has to come out. There's just 1 bolt here, and you can undo it with your hands once that bolt has been loosened up. Finally, and I'm sorry for the bad camera angle, but your lower control arm has to come out of the car completely. This is honestly probably the most difficult step because the bolts are tight and the access to the front bolt can be tricky. And the tip I will tell you is that you need to align your steering wheel either full left or full right, depending on what side you're working on. And then yes, you can get a socket on there and break that loose. Just take your time. This is probably honestly the hardest part. All right, once everything has been disassembled, it is time to install your new lower control arm. Obviously, it's all pre-assembled from earlier. We're gonna flip the camera around. I've actually already got it on this side, and I'll show you a couple little tips. The side that has like the pillow block sort of bushing is mimicked by this, and then the front side right here is just like that. So that's all you gotta know. like I said, we'll flip the camera around and I'll show you how I got that side in and a couple little tips. So the next part of the instructions says to install your pre-assembled lower control arm. First, the orientation. Your bump stop needs to be facing up. So this is the correct orientation. And then if you just removed your control arms, you know that swooping way goes back. So this is the passenger side we're looking at. Now, a couple things they point out. You have a new bolt for here. You don't use the stock bolt, okay? So you put a new bolt in, you run that bolt through. In order, if you're having issues getting that bolt in, go inside the car, turn the steering wheel to basically get it all the way, your tie rod all the way in, then lift it up and you can sneak the bolt in. Once you put the bolt in, you actually wind up putting a nut on top of a nut. So what they recommend doing is running this bolt in through the original stock threaded location until it bottoms out, and then you torque this. But before you do that, there's a couple other things to point out. Number one, they talk about how many threads you want to have showing in different locations. This back one, they say you want pretty much all the way bottomed out. Back here, they do talk about how many threads you want showing. And what I'll say is if you install it with the incorrect number of threads showing back here and you try to install these bolts, they're going to be pushed this way or that way because it's yanking it one way or the other. So what I did is I followed the instructions, but then I had to wind up adjusting this until I could get this center bolt to just drop straight through and these to lay down flush. Before, the top plates were all, you know, angled to one side. So that's my pro tip there. And then once you get it in place, with one hand, there's no binding. You could never do this with a stock control arm. And when I first installed it, I had it kind of bound up and I couldn't do this either. So just play with the adjustment right here until you get this length from there to there correct for your car and your frame and everything. And then it's smooth sailing. We'll go ahead and torque everything down. These two get torqued to 129 foot-pounds. And this center bolt, you can put a 19mm wrench under there. You torque this to 80. Now this one is easy to get to because you can take a deep well socket on your 1/2 inch drive torque wrench and torque that right here. The problem is if you leave this little piece installed the way it normally is, with this part being not bent down and down here, you'll never get a socket in there unless you go and start bending your pinch weld right there, which I started to do and then I stopped. I took this out, bent it down so it still locks into place. So I flip this upside down. We'll torque this from the bottom, that from the top, and then we should be good to go. It doesn't give you a torque spec for this, but I'm gonna try and look up what the stock spec is and just torque it to that. For the next part, we're gonna take this piece right here, which the part number on this one ends in 0329, and this is the passenger side. So the way this goes together, because I played with this a little bit to figure this out, is like so. So that goes in there, that goes in there, and it slides into place. So you're gonna need a pretty large size. This is a 1/2 inch Allen right here. That's a 5/16. I'm just gonna run it in there with my impact and then eventually we'll torque it. You do have to take the bolt out up here because if you try and put the bolt through, the way this was designed was to crush before, but now it's to squeeze, and that sleeve prevents this from collapsing and also prevents the bolt from going through there. I also had to take these little misalignment spacers off, otherwise it'll run into your bit. Unless you're using an Allen wrench, then it's probably okay. Next step is to take your coilover and install it in the vehicle. Movie magic, it's in. There's 4 bolts up top, and I haven't tightened these yet. I just put it in place, put one nut in there to hold it. I'll go ahead, throw the rest of the nuts on. One hand, but again, we're gonna go ahead and install the spindle right onto the coilover using the stock bolts that are provided. Everything's totally loose right now. I just got the bolts in there. This large heim joint on the bottom is going to connect to the larger of the 2 connections down here. And then this is for your tie rod. Now they talk about cutting off a section of the tie rod. I'm going to get everything installed before I cut anything because you can easily cut, but you can't add back. Now's a great time to grab your impact. You need a 19mm, and we'll just go ahead and zip these down. The next part is going to be unique to my car because I have this big brake kit. Normally, where this bracket is where your stock caliper would go. And you basically install the limiter like this. The bolts go through and they hold your stock caliper to the spindle. I went ahead and torqued these two to about 90 foot-pounds with a little bit of blue Loctite. Now back here on the other side, just tightening up just snug your ABS sensor, and then you go ahead on your new coilovers, just clip that in here. There's a little spot right here, which I'm gonna use most likely to put like an 8L clamp or something, just to hold the brake lines out of the way, and then I'll go ahead and install everything. I'm probably gonna run a thread chaser over the inner tie rod before I make a cut. If you wanna use a thread chaser, you can. I've got a die here. It's a 9/16/18 thread. So 9/16 is the diameter, 18 threads per inch. We're gonna cut about 3/4 of an inch off. So we're gonna run this up on here past where we're gonna cut. Then we'll make the cut, and then we can back this back off and clean up any threads that we hopefully did not damage in the process. I wound up removing only about 3/4 of an inch. The instructions say you can remove an inch. I figured I would start with 3/4 of an inch, and then you'll see me just run the die back and forth to make sure everything is nice and smooth. And then you go ahead and take your pre-assembled tie rod ends and screw them onto the inner tie rod. One correction, I made a minor mistake. This is why you put everything together and they tell you to cycle it back and forth and look for any kind of mistakes or binding. Now, I didn't have binding, but what I did find was if you look down here where my stop is, where my finger's at, I had this black piece flipped the wrong way. So now that I flipped it around, if you look, the bolt is hitting dead center in the stop and not off to one side. And I think that is how it's supposed to be. It doesn't show it in the instructions super well, but that looks way better than trying to hit this thing on a corner. So just check everything and make sure you're all good before proceeding to the next step. Regardless of what your caliper situation is, whether you got stock brakes or aftermarket, you want to go ahead and tighten that back up. And obviously, torque everything to the factory specifications. Make sure everything moves freely. Now that you're basically done with one side, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and do the other side so you don't miss anything or make any mistakes. And that way both sides left and right are the exact same. So all I'm showing you right here is just a quick time lapse, kind of start to finish, of me installing everything on the driver's side. And then at the very end, we'll go and we'll adjust the actual tie rods. I'll show you how to set basic toe and then cycle through the entire range of motion. Grab yourself a tape measure, make sure your steering wheel is centered, and it's time to set the rough toe. Now, how I did this, or how I plan to do this, is I made sure that the rotor was all the way on. So I made sure I pushed it all the way in, went ahead and put a nut on there to hold it in place. You could do this with the wheel on, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably measure off the frame at the front and the back of my rotor and get it set so that there's zero toe. That's gonna be my starting point. Now, eventually you're gonna tow it out with it on the ground and on the tires and wheels on, all that stuff, but this is how I'm gonna start. I probably spent too much time at this step. All you gotta do is just get it close because you actually set the toe with it on the ground. So just get it roughly close and then tighten everything down to 80 foot-pounds. At this point, I'm ready to show you what the angle looks like. Now, for right now, I have my street wheels on here, which are 19s. I think they're like a 19/10. I'm not gonna run this wheel when I go drifting. What I do know from speaking with the owner is that he runs, I think it winds up being roughly 68 millimeters of offset, which is a combination of the offset of the wheel he runs and also a spacer. So, but what's awesome is with these 18/10s, before, the only way to not get them to rub with stock angle was running in 1-inch spacer. And I'm gonna turn this thing left to right and show you how much angle I get. Now, I have the stops on there, but it's got way more now with no spacer. And ultimately, I will run my drift setup, obviously, with the small spacer, and that way I can maximize my angle. But I'll be able to drive around the street, turn way better when I'm not drifting, and not have to run a spacer and poke the tire out super far. Tons and tons of angle. And right now, I've got it adjusted to where it is hitting the bump stop, but I could go more, especially with a spacer or a smaller wheel, and absolutely no issues whatsoever. I'll spin it the other way so you can see it the other way. Look how much angle that is.
freaking awesome. These are huge wheels and tires on here. Absolutely no issues with rubbing. It's going to be even better when I go to my drift spares. Here you can see everything is hooked up. I'll have to go back and obviously tighten the jam nuts, but I'm gonna wait until I get it on the ground. Honestly, this kit is really easy to install. I was a little worried when I first saw the pictures because it comes in all these bags and you have to assemble everything. But once you lay it all out and you start taking parts off the car, it makes sense where everything goes. There's really not anything tricky. And now we know it works with the big brake kit. So this wasn't really designed to work with that big brake kit, but it can be made to work. And all you've got to do is get 2 longer bolts. So super happy with the kit. We've got to get the car on the ground. We've got to set the ride height, dial in the final alignment. And then obviously you'll see videos of me going drifting. Can't wait to see what it's like. Hopefully you found this video helpful and it helped you install the angle kit on your car or helped you make the decision to buy the Quick Angle 2.0 kit from Synergy Race Development. Hit me up with any comments or questions you have on the install and I'll do my best to help answer those questions for you. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button and find more content on my Mustang. See you guys next time.